Alex wasn't behind on anything. He paid his rent on time. He hadn't opened a new credit card in years. So, when the leasing office called about the apartment, he expected good news. The answer was no, not because of his income, not because of his job, because of a debt. $4,800 sitting on his credit report, tied to an account he had never opened from a company he had never used. The woman on the phone read it back to him like it was a plain fact about his life. And Alex just stood there holding the phone, trying to explain that the number wasn't his. The debt wasn't his. But the damage already was. That's the strange cruelty of this one. Alex did nothing wrong, and he still ended up holding the mess. Somebody else built a small pile of debt under his name, quietly, in the background of his ordinary life. He didn't feel it happen. There was no moment where he could have stopped it. The first time he found out was the moment it cost him something real. And that's what makes this different from almost every other money trap. Most traps you can see coming, at least a little. You sign the paper. You swipe the card. You agree to the payment, even if you regret it later. This one skips all of that. Nobody asks Alex to agree. Nobody warns him. The account gets built while he's at work, while he's asleep, while he's living a completely normal week. No alarm goes off. No one knocks on the door. Life feels fine right up until the day it isn't. So how does something like this even start? Usually it starts small and boring. A social security number pulled from a data breach he never heard about. A password he reused on one website that later got hacked. A text message that looked exactly like it came from his bank. A piece of mail lifted out of a mailbox. Sometimes it's an application filled out with just enough of his real information to slip through. Alex doesn't have to be careless for any of this to happen. People who check their statements, who use decent passwords, who think they're being careful, still end up right here. The information is already out there. Someone just decided to use it. And here's what makes it worse. There's almost always a gap between the day the theft starts and the day Alex finds out. Weeks, sometimes months. During that whole stretch, the fake account looks on paper like a normal account that Alex simply stopped paying. Every day that passes without him knowing is another day the damage quietly grows on its own. He isn't ignoring it. He doesn't even know it exists. That delay is the thief's best friend and the victim's worst enemy, because by the time the truth finally surfaces, the record already tells a different story about who he is. The moment it becomes real is usually quiet, too. Maybe it's a letter from a debt collector for a balance he doesn't recognize. Maybe he finally pulls his credit report and sees a line that stops him cold. An account with a date he doesn't remember. A balance he never spent. A lender he has never dealt with in his life. There's even a phone account in his name that he never set up. His first feeling isn't anger, it's confusion. He reads it 3 times, certain he's misunderstanding something. Then the confusion turns into a cold, sinking fear, because he realizes the report is not confused about who it's pointing at. It's pointing straight at him. This is the part that breaks people. To Alex, it's obvious he didn't do this. Of course he didn't. But the system doesn't run on obvious. The system runs on what's written down, and what's written down is his name, maybe his address, maybe his social security number, all attached to a debt he never touched. So the whole thing flips. Alex didn't have to prove he was responsible. He had to prove he wasn't. Sit with how backward that is. He has to go gather documents to defend himself against a purchase he never made. And while he's busy doing that, the fake account keeps causing harm. A missed payment he never knew about gets reported. The balance gets handed to collections. His credit takes the hit as if he's the one who stopped paying. That's how one invisible account turns into a denied apartment, a bigger deposit, a loan that comes back rejected, a higher interest rate on something he actually needs. None of it is his doing. All of it lands on him. And underneath the money part, there's something quieter and heavier, which is the embarrassment of having to explain again and again that you are not the person your own credit report says you are. Then comes the cleanup, and the cleanup is its own trap. Alex calls the creditor. They tell him to call the credit bureau. He calls the bureau. They point him back to the creditor, or over to the collector, or toward another department with another hold time. Every call starts from zero. He explains the whole story again. He gets asked for the same documents again. And through all of it, he keeps hitting the same wall, this feeling that everyone trusts the computer more than they trust him. He's the actual human being telling the truth, and he's the one who has to keep proving it. So if this ever happens to you or to someone you love, what actually helps? The first thing is simple. Don't ignore it, even when ignoring it is the tempting thing to do, because unknown debt does not get quieter when you look away. It gets louder. The next thing is to look at your credit reports. You can check all three from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion for free every week at annualcreditreport.com. That is the official site, the one actually authorized by federal law. Read the reports slowly and mark anything you don't recognize. From there, keep a record of everything. Save the letters. Screenshot the accounts. Write down who you called, when you called, and what they said. It feels tedious in the moment, and it is the difference between a story people believe and a story you can prove. Contact the company where the fake account was opened and tell them plainly that it's fraud. Dispute the wrong information with the credit bureaus. And if a collector is chasing you for the fake debt, tell them in writing that it isn't yours and keep a copy of exactly what you sent. Putting it in writing matters because a phone call disappears the second you hang up, but a letter stays. There's a government website built for exactly this called identitytheft.gov, run by the Federal Trade Commission. You report what happened, and it walks you through a recovery plan and gives you an official identity theft report you can use. That report matters because it unlocks stronger protection. Two of the most useful tools are a fraud alert and a credit freeze. A fraud alert tells lenders to double check that it's really you before they open anything new, and you only have to contact one credit bureau because that one is required to tell the other two. A credit freeze goes further and blocks new accounts from being opened in your name in the first place. Both are free, and a freeze does not lower your credit score. And there's one thing worth holding on to through all of it. The law is mostly on Alex's side here. A debt built by a thief is not a debt he is supposed to be stuck paying. Proving that can be slow and exhausting. But the whole point of the report, the freeze, and the disputes is that the system does have a door marked. This wasn't me. The hard part is that Alex has to be the one to walk through it again and again until someone finally listens. One more warning, because this trap has a cruel little twist. The moment people become victims, a second wave of predators shows up. There are services that promise to erase all your problems overnight for a fee, guaranteed. Be very careful with those. The real steps are mostly free, and no honest company can promise you a guaranteed timeline, because how long this takes depends on the company, the bureau, the type of account, and your own situation. Anyone selling you certainty is really just selling you something. Now, none of this means you should live your life scared, checking over your shoulder. That is not the lesson. Protecting your identity isn't about fear. It's about a few small habits that quietly work in the background, the same way the theft tried to. Check your credit reports now and then, since they cost nothing. Use strong passwords, and stop reusing the same one everywhere. Slow down before you tap a link in a message that's trying to rush you. Keep half an eye on your mail. Think about freezing your credit, especially when you're not about to apply for anything. And if you ever spot an account that isn't yours, move fast. Because early is so much easier than late. Alex got there in the end. He filed the report. He froze his credit. He wrote the letters and made the calls, and slowly, piece by piece, the fake account came off. But it cost him. It cost him the apartment he wanted. It cost him weeks of phone calls and worry. It cost him that quiet confidence of assuming his own name was clean. Because that's the real theft here. The money is only part of it. Identity theft steals your time, your trust, your sleep. and the simple feeling that your own name belongs only to you. Alex never made the debt. He was just the one left carrying the proof. And the best thing any of us can do is check early, react fast, and make sure that if someone ever tries to build a life under our name, we catch it before it costs us the one we already have.